All right, we're going to do a quick explainer about stats for people who are playing at all-star level or lower or just getting started out. And we're going to look at one of the most fraudulent cards they've released this year, Dick Allen. We're going to start from the top and work our way down. Contact. That's going to be the size of your outer PCI, the big brackets that you wave around to get a hit. Now with Mr. Dick Allen here, you can see his contact left is awesome. It's actually about as good as it gets. Only goes up to 125, but his contact right, 75. At this point in the game, that's miserable. Now, moving down from there, vision. The easiest way I find to explain this to people is timing. A higher vision rating gives you a higher timing window. So if you're swinging the bat, that is how many, I don't know if it's measured in milliseconds or what, but how long you have to crush an inside sinker or an outside slider or something like that. Mr. Allen's card right here, 60 is bad, which means that if a right-handed pitcher throws him a sinker inside, he's going to have a hard time getting on it. Clutch. Very important. If there's a man in scoring position, which is second or third base, that is going to replace contact. So if people are in scoring position, again, second or third base, that means that 75 right contact is going to go up to 110. But the 116 left contact is going to go down to 110. So it's pretty important because sometimes if they're hiding a bad clutch rating, then it can really tank a card when it needs to be good. Power, pretty self-explanatory. 70, not good. 115, great. Which goes to show you that this card is going to, from a purely offensive standpoint, have a pretty good time with lefty pitchers and a pretty miserable time with righty pitchers. 75-70 against righties. Right now, that's bad. That wouldn't have even been great when the game came out. But 116-115 against lefties, that's the one place where this card is pretty awesome. Jumping down to fielding. Overall ability of 70. And then you have his directional reaction, which is how good he's going to do running forward, backward, right, or left. Now, if he's at third base, you can pretty much ignore right, because most of the time he's going to be moving left or forward. And both of those are 71-70, which is pretty lackluster. Backwards or right is even worse. Now, we're going to skip speed and look at his arm. Arm strength, 88. That's pretty good. He'll whip it across the diamond. Arm accuracy, that directly affects the meter when you are throwing across the diamond. So if that was like 50 for whatever reason, then it's going to be just a little sliver of green and incredibly easy to blow a throw. 80, you're not going to have problems. Speed, the overall speed of 62, ignore it. You just want to look at the individual ratings. 79, that's how fast he is going to run the bases or field a ball. Third base, you probably won't notice it, but if he was a shortstop or center fielder, you want as high of a speed as possible. Running the bases, 79, probably not going to be doing much stealing, but close enough. Steal, that's the rating that shows how good of a jump he's going to get. 30 is pretty bad. So Dick Allen, even with a okay-ish overall speed of 79, isn't going to be much of a base running threat. And then sack bunt, drag bunt, 35, 25. Bunting is kind of a mystery to the majority of people that play this game. Some cards that have that jacked up all the way to 99.99 are going to be easy to bunt with. Cards like this, coin flip as to whether or not it's going to go back to the catcher. I wouldn't be bunting with this guy. Also important, quirks. Every player has quirks. Over here, you can see he's got 5. Homebody, performs better when playing at home. Self-explanatory. Day player, performs better when playing day games. Self-explanatory. Dead Red, considered one of the 3 most important in the game, excels at hitting fastballs. It's a hidden mystery as to whether or not how exactly that affects it, but it's going to make him crush fastballs. Fighter, performs better in the 9th inning or later. Situational hitter, excels at driving in a runner from third with less than 2 outs. But always check perks, but people are normally going to want Dead Red and Breaking Ball hitter. Just for example, here's Ted Williams, one of the better hitting cards in the drop. Homebody, day player, Dead Red, you want that. Breaking Ball hitter, awesome. Rally Monkey, gonna do well when you're behind. Situational, and Bad Ball hitter, which means he's gonna do the good old Vladdy Daddy or Lindor special of hitting balls that are up at his forehead and they're gonna leave the yard. All right, let's take a quick look at pitchers. And I purposely pulled up one that's bad. Carlos Rodon. Now, we're going to go from top to bottom, left to right. Hits per 9. That is going to be the overall size of their inner PCI, how much that shrinks it. Or that is going to be what prevents them from squaring up the ball. So a hits per 9 of 100 and 108, right and left, is pretty good. Nothing to really complain about there. Here's where it starts to get nasty. His K per 9, that is going to affect your opponent's outer PCI. 77 right, 85 left. Now here's where it gets even more devious. That's already kind of bad, which means that Carlos Rodon's going to be a foul ball machine. Your opponent's going to be able to have 10 pitch at bats without so much as flinching. But we're in a switch hitter meta, which means the most important thing is how well are you going to perform pitching to an opposite-handed batter, which over here are going to be righties. His worst split is against right. So the majority of people you are facing are going to be fouling off everything because his K per 9 is 77. So whether you're looking at a right-handed or a left-handed pitcher, you want to focus on the opposite-handed batter. A control of 70, he's going to have a pretty big par region, whether you're doing anything from pinpoint to meter to pulse pitching. It's going to be big. Well, the one good thing you can say about this card is a 111 clutch means that when runners are in scoring position, he's going to get easier to use, not worse. Fielding and arm, 58 and 56, means bad. Don't pay any attention to that. Anytime a ball gets hit to a pitcher, he's going to spin in a circle, vacuum up his rear end, and spit it towards first base. Now, over here are the different individual pitches, and it's going to show their velocity and their break. And you see here, he's got almost maxed out break and decent velocities. So if you're just looking at the pitches, you're like, hey, I can maybe work with that. But then think, you're going to be going at right-handed batters all day, every day, and just getting foul, 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 foul. And 96 is okay, but that's nothing that's going to be making people swing and miss. Pitchers have quirks. Rodon has homebody and night player, which means he likes playing at home at night because he likes to snack afterwards on his own couch. Now let's contrast Rodon with Tarek Skubal. Look at those hits per 9s. Look at those K per 9s. They're pretty even across the board. But most importantly, Skubal's a lefty. He's going to be pitching to righties. His righty hits per 9 and K per 9 are better than his lefties, which means he is going to perform better against the type of batter you're going to be facing all day, every day. His control, 97. That's amazing. His clutch, excellent. Stamina, 100. Fielding and arm, doesn't matter. And his fastball velocity is 99. Sinker, 95. Circle change, 87. Slider, 89. Knuckle curve, 81. All of those are going to give you a lot of speed differentials to work with, meaning that you can throw your opponent off. Now, let's look at his quirks, because there's an important one down here that you should always check for. Homebody, he likes playing at home. Day player in the days. Stopper, whatever, nobody cares. Here's the important one. Outlier 2, secondary pitch exceeds max velocity limit. What's his secondary pitch? His sinker, which means his sinker is going to regularly go up to, I'd say maybe 99? I don't know. I haven't got Scooble yet. But outlier is probably best on a fastball, but still, that means that if you're going lefty-lefty, you're going to be able to chuck a sinker in on them that's going to make them soil themselves. So anyways, that is a quick explainer. Ask me questions down below, and I will break it down as much as I can. I am your average, nothing special player, and I want to help other people who are just getting started, who after a few months, you'll be better than me. Anyways, have a good one. Bye.